Okay, so day 4 of the 5 days challenge, warm-up challenge for the Universal Law in Actions is law of rhythm. This is a law that is not being talked about too much, and I don't have a lot of things to say about, but it's an important one that I wanted to touch upon because understanding and swimming through maneuvering this law will enable you to stay in flow. So everybody and many people are seeking rainbows and unicorns in their life, right? Because they want to feel joyful, they want to feel excited, they want to feel vibrant, and things happen in life, right? And I like to look at life like a season, right? And I like to look at life as like a weather, right? There's gonna be a time where you're feeling warm and energized and it goes down to cold. There's gonna be time where you have a lot of suns and it's gonna rain, right? And you might actually notice a different mood in your weeks and the month, and depending on the time, depending on what you do, what you don't do. Um, it's not fully related to your, like, for instance, as far as the health stuff, right? Many people believe, and which is true, to have a good sleep, have a great nutrition food, and to move the body. And sometimes I realize that no matter how much you're taking care of yourself, there's still a time where you feel a little heavier, right? That's a good analogy, right? A little heavier and then a little bit lighter. And you can also sense the world feeling a little bit, slower pace, or people are energizing. And that seems to be conducive to seasons and the times of the year. But there's also irregularity in this pattern, right? So there is a law of rhythm. It's interesting. I want to share with you something. When I was doing more of the physical treatment, I used to do manual therapy, right? To help people recover from injuries or pains or sciatic pains or neck injuries and shoulder pains and all that soft tissue manual work. And what's interesting thing was that when I didn't get any appointment, nobody really called me or messaged me to make an appointment. I was living back in Los Angeles. And but when somebody messaged me, "Oh, I'm having a pain, I need to see you." Then 5, 10 people message me, "I also have a pain, I need to see you." Right? So there's something in this ether that creates a rhythm that we are a part of. And that what I learned through this experience is that we don't want to resist and fight against it, right? We want to be in that flow of the rhythm. So how does it look like to be in the flow, right? So if you don't feel fully inspired, you don't need to expect or to judge yourself that I'm not being inspired, right? There's a little less inspiration. Then I'm going to focus on this one that allows me to sort of feel good being present in the moment, right? You might not be excited and joyful about doing things all the time. Like, for instance, I'm creating, these YouTube videos. I'm not so excited about creating this all the time, 24/7, right? And that's also part of the being an artist, right? You do want to initiate to be inspired instead of just waiting to be inspired. But I think there's a dance between generating that, initiating that from within, and to be and understand that there's a rhythm in life and to not to resist against it, right? And sometimes when the rhythm is going down and you're not at the maximum, that you might need to be on the stage. Like, I can tell you from my experience being a dancer, right? um I couldn't make any excuse of not going full out because of the law of rhythm, right? So when you're performing and when you're presenting, you want to be in that zone, and that would be, congruent with any profession or any situation. You do want to show up fully, but you can show up fully in a way that you can do based on the law of rhythm. And I don't think we need to judge about that, or we don't need to resist against it, right? So the inquiry that we want to have here is, what are the resistance that you can release that you might have been resisting when something is low, right? And what would be the best usage of your time when you feel like you're not being inspired, right? How do you sort of recharge your rhythm by being in that flow with that low rhythm to move into that inspiration, right? So what is that? Is that reading a book? Is that a journaling? Is that a listening to the music, or combination of that, right? So the inquiry is, if you're resisting against low rhythm, what is that resistance? How can you shift out of that? And there's a two-part. And then what would you do to recharge through that downtime, right? To be able to be inspired and go into that expansive mode. This is also connected to the low polarity, right? Because in the process of creation, there's always going to be a dip before the leap. In order to jump, you need to go down in order to jump, right? So life happens that way. And we want to enjoy those by understanding. But if we're not aware that there is that rhythm, we might actually resist against it, right? So share if you have any comment. Share if any of that specific content that I share as far as the low rhythm resonate with you, and maybe share with the group what is your experience that you have had recently that, oh, I can see now that that was sort of like a part of the rhythm because things weren't working the way that I wanted to go, and something shifted without me doing anything, and I started to feel better, right? This one thing that I just mentioned probably resonated with a lot of people, right? You felt like you were struggling, right? Something wasn't creating that inspiration and creativity, and I don't remember changing anything, but boom, you started to take off because the heaviness sort of disappeared. That always is that shift in the rhythm that we're experiencing. So I would love for everybody to share any of your experience below, so we can share our experience to touch others, to be able to become more aware of this concept. And the goal of this, universal law is to be in that flow, right? So how can we align with that rhythm and to have minimum resistance? Because resistance comes from the survival mind, and we don't need to really have that. And begin becoming aware of that by examining this topic is what allows us to begin living a soul-led life. So comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.